Hey everyone. So I know a few of you guys saw that I posted in my community tab the other day a picture with a caption about wanting to do a question and answer video sometime pretty soon. I left it up for about a week. Make sure to give you guys plenty of time to get all the questions out that you wanted to ask. And I got about 29 comments. So I went ahead and printed them out since I record on my phone. And I'm gonna go. I got time. I can go through all of them. I got a lot of really good ones, so I think it was a good idea. And I'm gonna use the comments of this video as a question and answer part 2 because I know not everybody sees the community tab. It depends on what platform you watch the videos on, whether it shows it to you or not. So I think a lot more people will probably see this video, and we'll get another one going and do another one in a week or two. And maybe make this like a once a month thing. I don't know. I reply to a lot of questions in the comments. I try to answer every question everybody asks, but I miss some. And sometimes I know when I answer a question in the comments, hardly anyone sees it. So I think this would be a good way to answer a lot of people's questions because a lot of people have questions about the property. So starting out, I think the first comment on there, and this one's got a few likes, was from Marlene Gearon 4709. It says, "Are you ever going to have family or friends help you or give advice for construction, decor, or yardscaping on video?" Yes, eventually I will. So far, the stuff that I've been working on, for one, the weather has been so rough. I haven't wanted to ask anyone to come help me in this extreme heat that I've been working in, and everything's just been super labor intensive. And also, another thing that's been holding me back from asking my friends and family to come out here is I'm figuring this stuff out as I go, so I don't really have like a plan. Like it's not like I'm like moving a stack of rocks and there's like no thinking involved. It's just like move all this here to here. It's been like the retaining wall. I was like having to stop and like reconfirm, do research, and make sure I'm doing things right. And so it never. When I started that project, I intended on having my friends come out here and help me because I was just thinking it was just going to be a really labor intensive job moving a bunch of railroad ties and stacking them up. But it turned out to be a lot more thinking involved in figuring out than I thought there was going to be. And I was thinking if I had people out here, it would probably just kind of stress me out trying to hurry up and like think of what we need to do next. And I've also been under a little bit of a time crunch, so I don't want people coming out here and kind of distracting me, looking around. It's just for right now. Once I get farther into the house, I definitely plan on having people helping me with stuff. But for right now, I really enjoy working out here alone. It makes it easier for me to record the videos and not have people around. It's just, I really like doing stuff by myself. So, yes, at some point, I don't really know exactly when. And for as far as advice, I talk to my parents. I talk to my dad every day, and I talk to my parents once a week. I'm getting advice from them. I've had family members out here just either last weekend or weekend before last. My great uncle stopped by. He's local, and we walked around the property. He gave me advice about grading and stuff. He knows a lot about. He's been in the construction industry his entire life. He's like in his 80s, and he gave me a lot of good advice about the road that I was in the process of digging the driveway up into the field, and he was giving me some advice about that and talking about working on houses. His son is a contractor that builds spec houses, so he's very familiar with all that. So I got a lot of advice from him. So yeah, I'm getting advice from family members all the time. The next one from Jewel CFC says, "Not really a question, but my mom watches your videos, and I know it would make her day for you to say hi, Mary." So I know that there's probably quite a few people. I have a lot of regular watchers. I see the same names over and over again, um, and I really appreciate that so much from everybody. So I noticed the repeat comments, and I really appreciate a lot the support and the loyalty that a lot of people have to the channel. It's so cool to me that people are actually that interested in it. Um, so hi Mary and hi everybody else that is constantly watching. B Thompson is another one that I see commenting all the time. I really appreciate all his comments. Ronnie Fuller, I believe, that's another one that I see all the time. Grumpy Old Man, of course, classic. Been commenting since day one. Prairie Fork. There's a lot that come to mind when I think of the people that comment consistently every single time. There's another one, Miss Alicia. Yeah, Miss Alice A. Lease. Keep trying. I see she comments on basically everything. Captain Max. I see Captain Max a lot. And there's a ton others. I notice it, and I really appreciate it. I love knowing that I have got people that I can count on to watch and comment on all the videos. So, speaking of Captain Max, the next comment is from Captain Max. That place has history. Makes me wonder if you'll find house remnants under that nice field. Very good possibility. Yeah, there's no telling what could be in the ground up here. Uh, so far, pretty much everywhere I've dug, I found something. There's been a lot of little kids' toys. I've dug up a lot of like toy race cars, and there's golf balls everywhere out here. I think they used to use that field to play golf for kids to hit golf balls around in or something. Rock 2 Blues 59 says, maybe an ancient artifact from burial grounds of a Maytag tribe. What do you think your most expensive rehab or upgrade will be? I guess he's talking about the buried dishwasher. My most expensive rehab or upgrade? Depends on what I end up doing. If I end up doing the full foundation replacement, that is probably going to be the most expensive one. But what could potentially cost more, and another thing that's still in the back of my mind, I said I'm not going to do it, but if I do raise this wall over here, the short wall, and redo the whole roof, that's probably going to cost more than the foundation, I would think. They're probably going to be pretty close, so it's hard to say which one is which, and it's hard to say if I'm even going to do either one of them. So at this point, that's what I would think. Let's see, if I don't do either, the most expensive thing that I would see happening out here would be probably, trying to think, if I didn't do those, it'd probably just be the bathroom remodel, or if I don't do those, it'll probably just be the bathroom remodel. And that will be very light. If I don't replace if I decide not to replace the foundation in the bathroom and I just leave it the way that it is, it'll be a very light remodel. And then I'm probably going to leave the rest of the house basically as it is. Put a new roof on it, fix the siding in a few spots. I'll leave it very basic. If I decide to not do all that stuff, it'll be because I decided to build a house up in the field or something. But for right now, my plan is to remodel the bathroom throughout the process of the remodel, redo the foundation in that room. New subfloor down, new sheetrock where it needs it, new sink, new vanity, new shower, new toilet, relocating the toilet and the sink and the shower. So the bathroom remodel, I guess you could probably group all that into the bathroom remodel because it all kind of goes together. That, as I expect, to be the most expensive project for now. I've estimated probably $10,000-ish for all that. Mark Decker 2724 says married, kids, companion. And I got another reply to this saying that I don't really, because I replied and I said, yeah, I need to go into detail about that because I haven't really addressed it at all. And another guy replied and said, no, you probably shouldn't because you don't need to put too much out there. And I told him, what I'm going to say here, don't worry, there's no information to put out about that. Not married, no kids, no companion. There's nothing, no information to be leaked about any of that. Plans with any of that? No plans either. It's just whatever happens is going to be what happens. I don't think the right way to go about life is to look for stuff like that and just sit around and think about it and wait to start your life until you find somebody. I think that will just happen when it needs to happen. If it needs to happen. I'm not counting on anything. It's just whatever ends up happening. I'm living my life the way that I want to live my life until something happens. I'm not avoiding it and I'm not hunting for it. It's just I'm doing what I want to do for now. And you have to learn to enjoy your life the way that it is, or you'll end up wasting a ton of your time, or you'll finally find somebody and it won't make you as happy as you thought it was going to. Or you'll rush into something that you shouldn't, and you'll try to make something work with someone that you never should have ended up being with in the first place. Then your relationship falls apart and you're living a miserable life, but you don't want to leave because you think back to how unhappy you were before you found that person. I think you got to just do what you want to do. So moving on to the next one. Joshua Lee 732 says, any plans on building a bigger house up in the field in the long run? Seems like a really good spot for one. Then you could tear the old house down and set up a shop there. Yeah, maybe. I've mentioned, I just don't like to just, at this point anyway, I've still only owned the house for 4 months. I've still only owned the house for about 4 months. So I feel like it's still too early to make like hard concrete decisions on anything. At least until I get into the house a little bit, start working on it, and living in there for a couple of months. But as of right now, when I like to dream, I'm just fantasizing about the ideal way that things could go around if money wasn't an option and I just wanted to do what I wanted to do here. My thoughts for the property would be a light remodel on the house. I'd like to get a good solid foundation under it. I'd like to fix the drainage issues on the property. And I'd like to put new flooring down, remodel the bathroom, make it nice, remodel the kitchen. The kitchen doesn't need much, just new flooring, basically, new cabinets, and maybe probably add a dishwasher and a bigger sink. I'd like to do all that, fix the crooked wall in the living room, live there for a while, save up some money, get the house paid off before I do anything. I want to pay this mortgage off. And then at that point, I would like to improve my road up into the field. And first, I would build a shop building up there. So as I say that, I guess I have to address him talking about tearing down the house and building the shop here. I don't think that right here is a good spot to build a house. The ground is so sloped. A shop really needs to be on a slab. And the ground is so sloped here, and the drainage isn't good. And even with me addressing the drainage, I don't know if I can fix it well enough where I could build a good, strong, solid slab right here. It could be done, but that's just not the amount of money I would like to put into something like that. Also, having a shop here, there's not really a good spot to turn around and back trailers into. If I was going to have a shop, I would want it to be easily accessible for getting trailers in and out, for working on trailers and building trailers. No telling what the future holds. If I'm going to have a shop building, I would want it to be trailer accessible. And this house, pretty much no matter what I do with the dirt work, unless I did a lot of dirt work, I don't really have it to where it's ever going to be like easy to back a trailer into a shop if a shop was right here. So that's the couple of issues that I have with building a shop here. Would be how much work it would take to pour a slab, how much work it would take to make it accessible to big vehicles, and also having to tear the house down. I don't think the house is in condition where it needs to be torn down. A lot of people keep saying that. I dramatize the videos to make the house seem worse than it is, just to make them interesting. It's really not in as bad a shape as people think that it is. People have been living in this house the entire time. There's people living in it when they sold it. It's not a safety hazard. There's nothing broken that doesn't work besides the shower head. I mean, the shower head doesn't work, but it's still a bathtub that works. All the plumbing works. All the electrical works. It has HVAC. It's not a tear down condition house. It has a uneven foundation that's structurally sound. So to me, I mean, yeah, if I was like a millionaire, a multi-millionaire, and I was buying this as like some type of investment property, and I bought it to develop the property and rent and do something with it, maybe then it would make sense to tear the house down. If it was just like this was just a bird and I bought it for only the property. In my current financial position, I'm just not into the idea of tearing the house down. So light remodel on the house, and then I'd build a shop building up there. I'm thinking probably a 30 by 40 would be fine for me. And the more I've been walking around in that field kind of thinking about it, as I'm brainstorming this ultimate dream reality, I think I would build the shop building like right here next to the house and do a set of stairs going up from the house straight to it. That way you don't have to walk really far to get to it. I could potentially park in it. And have a covered walkway that leads into the house. And that puts it there, and then that leaves plenty of room over here for another big dream. It would be cool to build like a 3-bed, 2-bath house up there. And then there's several possibilities that could come from that. I could subdivide it. I could leave the big house and the shop on one property and do an easement through this property to the driveway. Or you could sell it as a whole. You could sell the whole property, say if there's a main house with a guest house and a shop building. I would like to put like an apartment in the shop building, so something small, maybe an upstairs, maybe above everything, to have like a loft. You have a bathroom downstairs, maybe have a loft upstairs, just like a sleeping area and a small kitchen, probably also downstairs. And then some type of simple 3-bed, 2-bath house, maybe with a garage attached. There's room for it. Like I said, that's all dream. It's not my plan. It's not something that I'm planning to do or like expecting to do sometime soon. That would have to be like house gets paid. YouTube would have to take off big time. And then like the house would have to get paid off, and I'd have to be making so much money from YouTube that it just wasn't a big deal for me to do stuff like that. Am I expecting that to happen? Who's to say? It's impossible to know. I don't know if this is Derek or Derek. It's spelled like Derek. 2968. As a glazer, that's spelled wrong by the way. Are you in the union or no? If not, would you want to be? No, I'm not. I'm non-union. And so if you've seen very many conversations back and forth between union and non-union glazers, for one thing, there's a reason why glazers have the call each other the term glass hole. Glazers are just jerks. So if you've seen any of the banter back and forth between union and non-union glazers, you probably understand why I don't really want to get into the details as of why I wouldn't want to be union. But putting it simply, I don't know a ton about unions, but from what I do know, they don't seem that good. And what I do know about union glazers, it just doesn't seem that great to me. It's those guys. I'm not going to get into it. No, I don't want to be. I wouldn't want to be in a union, and I'm not pro-union. I don't like. From what I know, which is limited knowledge, they don't seem that good. Dan Goodall Williams says, "Did I hear correctly that you are going to cover the cement driveway with stone? Confused about that. Should you shore up underneath the house before any work begins?" First of all, yes, you did hear that correctly. I did cover the driveway with stone. There's a couple of reasons for that. I've gone into them a little bit in some previous videos, but I don't know if I've explained it perfectly to where it makes sense to everyone. So obviously, I built the retaining wall to expand the driveway, and my reason that I've explained so far is that I didn't want to tear out the concrete and form up a new driveway and pour concrete across all this, because this was going to be cheaper. What I've left out, and what I should have mentioned so far, and because people keep commenting and saying, well, you could have just done gravel next to the driveway. Yes, I could have. But if you look in some of my previous videos, and you can still see it a little bit even with this, because of this original retaining wall, which is about right here, where the post is for the edge of this covering, this retaining wall was failing so badly that the driveway, the slab, had sunk about 4 inches from this side to this side. So that needed to be corrected one way or another. It was too much concrete to lift, and also I've never seen a concrete lifting solution that actually lasts. It's always just a short-term fix, and it usually cracks once you do that. And also, I wanted to get this as less of an aggressive transition. So I wanted to fix that slope, and I wanted to raise this entire grade somehow. So I didn't want to pour concrete on top of concrete. I knew that was a bad idea. I didn't want to tear all the concrete out and pour new concrete. And I didn't want to just do gravel next to this, because then you still have that aggressive slope. And then on that transition, I would either have to continue the slope and make it look very dramatic from one side to the other. That would make it probably 6 to 9 inches shorter from this side to this side. Or I would have had to go down and then level off, which would have also looked really weird. So, not really a functionality reason why I had to do that, why I had to cover all of it, but I really just wanted it to all look more level, because that sloped driveway made the house look like it leaned really bad, because it looked like the ground, it kind of looked like that was straight and the house was super sideways. But it makes the house look straighter, seeing this a little bit more leveled out. It still could use to come up over here and come up right here, but that's just the amount of gravel that I bought. The guy would only deliver it in 7-ton loads maximum, so this was 7 tons spread. So it would be nice if I had a little bit more to raise it up everywhere. But it's fine like this. If you watch the video I posted about spreading this gravel, I'm aware that the gravel on top of the concrete's a bad idea. People are still... I put an explanation in that video, and people are still commenting, saying that it was a bad idea. But despite my explanation, I know it's not ideal. I keep saying that. I know it's not right to put stone on top of gravel. I know it's going to wash around and roll around and never be super solid. It's just, none of that is a concern to me. If it gets all pushed around and trails get dug into it, I'll just smooth it all back out. If it sinks over here, I'll just add gravel to it. But one thing I will mention, I got a hard rain last night. It woke me up like 3 times. And none of this washed away in that extremely hard rain. So I think it would have to rain hard for like a couple days to wash any trails into this. So no, I don't regret covering the driveway up. That's why I covered the driveway up. And people can keep telling me it was a bad idea. I don't care. This was the cheapest and easiest way for me to expand the driveway and make it look a little bit better and cover up that big slope that the driveway had in it. There's a lot of people saying now you can't work underneath cars. Um, I don't know why you can't lay on the gravel. I've I've worked underneath cars and fields, and you lay a tarp down. I always lay a tarp down. Or what's really good for that also is those sheets of 1-inch foam. I used to keep one of those, or I still do. I usually keep a sheet of that 1-inch foam around if I'm going to be crawling under a trailer or under a tractor or a car. You lay one of those down. I would do that on top of concrete anyway, because laying on concrete's not comfortable either. It's not like that's a great alternative compared to laying in the gravel. If anything, laying in the gravel is probably more comfortable because it gives a little bit. Yeah, I wouldn't lay on the bare concrete either way. I would either be on top of a tarp or a piece of styrofoam or a piece of plywood. A few people have had some good suggestions about adding some finer crushed stone or some smaller pebbles or something. I might do something like that. Get some of that the similar to the material that I put behind the retaining wall. That stuff was really fine and it compacted very well. So I might dump some of that in here, and then I might rent a plate compactor or something and compact all of it. I'm sure that would make it really nice. So there's that about the gravel driveway explanation. Potentially, hopefully, my last explanation on why I did it this way. Oh, no, I need to address his, should you shore up underneath the house before any work begins? I wouldn't say any work, but before any new work that's going to be affected by continued settling, yeah, probably. Like, before I do any drywall repairs, replace windows, new doors, new shower, new tile work, yeah, I think that the house does need to be picked up and a new foundation needs to be put underneath it, because it's just going to keep continuing to settle as long as it's on this foundation that it's on currently. But if your question is asking if I need to shore up underneath the house before any work begins because I think the house is going to fall down, no. The house is structurally sound. It's just settling. It's sinking slowly. Willer 69420, amazing number, says, how often do you plan on posting going forward? I'm trying to get at least three videos a week out, but it kind of depends on what I'm working on the weekend, how many videos I can make. I pretty much, at least for now, with how busy we are at work right now, like I worked 6-day week, 10-hour days every day. It doesn't leave me much time to record. I've rushed out here after work yesterday to spread the gravel and make a video on that, and then I'm making as many videos as I can today. And then that's kind of my only chance to record, really. I can get little things here and there. I'm editing in the free time that I do have. I'm editing like while I'm cooking dinner every night. So I try to get at least 2, but I like to get more like 3 or 4 out a week. I would love if I could post a video every day, but I can't hardly record that amount of content in one weekend to edit and continually post throughout the week without just being super repetitive and just chopping something that should just be 1 or 2 videos into 5 videos. Miss Elise A. Lease, keep trying. That's one of the ones I was talking about. Comments on basically every video. Says, OMG, it's so weird. How do you think the dishwasher got under there? Because that was the picture. The picture that I used on this post was my trencher holding the old dishwasher up that I dug out of the ground. I don't think it's a big mystery how it got underneath there. I think they probably just had a trash pit right there and buried a bunch of big trash that they didn't want to have to haul to a junkyard, stuff that was too big to fit in a trash can. There was an old shop vac under there too. I'm sure if I continued digging this way, I would keep finding stuff. Not uncommon for people in poor areas. That's pretty much what this area has been up until recently. It's just been a really low income place, and people that just don't have money to take stuff to the dump and they got some property, they just throw their trash out. It's unfortunate that that's what ends up happening, but they just throw their trash out. They probably had a pit there anyway. They're burying something pretty close to the water line. There's no telling maybe when they were digging that water line in, the utilities, they just threw some trash in there while the hole was dug up. Hard to know, but yeah, I think that's all that it was. There's another question about the dishwasher from Jimmy C 8951. Any idea how old that dishwasher is? Possible owner landfill? What else is down there? I feel like I got most of those in that last one. I can't really tell how old it is. It doesn't look that old. I would guess within the last 20 years, probably. I can't find a date or serial number or anything on it. It's all crushed up and wadded and rusted. But I don't think it's that old. Like I said, probably within the last 20 years. Suzanne Lee, 2660, says, what was the deciding factor in making your purchase? The deciding factor is the cost. The cost and the condition of the house. So far throughout my my search for real estate, with trying to stay within 40 minutes of where I work, I have not seen a property at this price and this condition. This is the best condition house at this price that I've seen. And I love this area. I've always loved this town that this house is in. One of my close friends just bought a house right around the corner, right before I found this one. So I was already kind of looking around the area, and I started thinking, it would be pretty cool if I ended up moving somewhere kind of close, and then this house showed up right after we moved in, and it kind of felt like a sign. And this house is exactly what I always looked for. It's small, because my dream has always been my entire life to either build a house myself, buy some property and build a house myself, or buy an old fixer-upper and fix it up myself and get a cheap property. But I didn't want to fix up a big house because I knew that I'd just be working by myself. And so this one showed up, 780 square foot. Everything works already. It's not like I have to fix anything before I can start living in it. The only thing, it just needs a new shower head to take a shower. All the plumbing works, electrical works, utilities are hooked up, people have been living in here. It just needs some work. And that is exactly what I always wanted. And it was affordable. It was a house I could afford the mortgage payment. I could put a big down payment on. I could afford the mortgage payment just fine and still afford to do the repairs and everything. And then pay it off fairly quickly. And not have to live with a 30-year mortgage for years and end up paying all that money and interest and stuff. It just came down to price and condition, and I liked the location. Scotty21NY says, do you think if you had the backhoe connected to a 3-point hitch drawbar, it would have been better? I'm thinking of getting the backhoe and using my tractor to tow it and dig while connected like that. To answer the question about that backhoe isn't designed to be dug or to be used like that, as people continue to comment in my videos about. It puts a lot of stress on the coupler and the tongue, and a lot of people have bent and cracked the welds where the coupler connects to the tongue, and it puts a lot of stress on the axles that it's not meant to have, and it's not really balanced right, and it puts a lot of stress onto your tractor. So for light duty work, I personally think it's fine, even though I've gotten probably hundreds of comments at this point saying not to do that. I still don't see an issue with it. If it's light stuff, if you're just scraping dirt around a little bit, and you're not trying to claw out a tree stump or something, I don't see an issue with it. So if you're thinking about just like digging holes for fence posts or planting a tree or something, and you're hooking it up to a tractor, I do think it's better to have it hooked up to a tractor than a truck, because trucks have that back and forth motion in the parking when you put the parking brake on. It has a transmission that you're putting stress onto. Tractor is, if you lock it in and chalk your wheels and use your bucket to hold it in place, you're not yanking it back and forth really bad like a truck, and it's not that transmission is more heavier duty, kind of meant for that kind of stuff. I don't think that you're gonna have problems with something like that. So the answer is really just it depends. I think it's fine to use it that way in light duty work. It's maneuverable. You're not spending a bunch of time putting the outriggers on and taking them off. You're towing it around place to place. I don't think there's an issue. There's a ton of people that use them like that. I think a lot of people are a little bit over dramatic about how fragile some stuff is. And also with this thing, this backhoe, if something breaks, I'm just gonna fix it on it. It's not gonna be the end of the world if I crack a weld or break a tooth off the bucket or something. So yeah, if you're thinking about getting one to tow around with your tractor, yeah, go ahead, try it out. If you don't like it, just sell it. Those things sell so easy used. Everyone wants one. Stephen Moore, 6523, says, what type of motorcycles do you have? What is your dream bike? Are there lots of places in Northwest Arkansas to ride dirt bikes? We have over 500 acres in South Arkansas. So we rode on our... I don't see the rest of that comment, but I'll put it up on the screen. It just says read more right here because I just printed out screenshots. Currently, the motorcycles that I have is just my KTM 500 EXC, and I have a mini bike that I take camping. I love that thing. But I have owned a lot of motorcycles already at my age. My very first bike ever was a CRF 230F dirt bike. And I rode that for a couple of years. That got me interested in motorcycles. I eventually bought a Honda Magna 750. 97 Honda Magna 750. and I did a little rebuild on that thing. It's funny, even back then, I was in high school. I was like 17 when I bought that bike. I made videos about that bike and planned on making a YouTube video and never ended up editing them together and posting them. I still have a lot of that content. I think I should edit it and post it onto this channel just to see, so you guys can see what I was like when I was 17 working on that bike. But I bought it for real cheap. I had to drive to Louisiana. I skipped school. I went to school that morning and stayed for like a couple hours and just left. I just walked out the door and got in my truck and drove to Louisiana. It's like 6 hours both ways. I got home at like 1 in the morning, went to school the next day. But I took that bike totally apart. I powder coated the wheels, put white wall tires on it, painted the tank. I made it pretty cool looking. A lot of people really liked that bike, and I ended up trading that one for a Ninja 400. Not because I wanted a Ninja 400, but because that bike was worth a lot more than that bike that I traded than the Magna was. So I had that Ninja 400 for a month or two. I cleaned it up really good and ended up selling it to a guy that needed to save money on gas. And he had a long commute, and he bought that thing just to get something a little bit more fuel efficient. Around that time, I got a KTM 250 XCF. Loved that bike. I rode that bike I wish that bike had an hour meter on it. There's no telling how much I rode it. My first KTM, my first real dirt bike, was that 230 with no power. We rode that thing so much, me and my friends. That was the 2 summers that we were really into dirt bikes. We were going every single weekend. And I put hundreds of hours on that bike in just 2 summers. I rode it every single day. I used to skip school and go ride out in the national forest around here. I'd come home from school and load it up, go straight from school to there. I'd take it to school with me and leave from school at the end of the day and go ride during high school. I ended up trading that bike in for my first KTM XCF EXC, my first KTM 500 EXCF, because I just decided I wanted a bike with a little bit more power, even though that 250, that's a great bike, the XCF. But I just decided I want to make a little bit of an upgrade, and I wanted something street legal. So I got the EXCF 500. Perfect bike. That's my dream bike. That's one of your questions. What's your dream bike? It's the bike I already had, the KTM 500 EXCF. There's nothing out there that's better for the type of riding I do. I love riding dirt roads and riding rural roads and just leaving from my house, being able to just ride from where I live out to where I want to ride, not having to worry about getting in trouble for being on any public roads. It does everything I want to do. It does wheelies, I can do jumps, I can ride it like a dirt bike, I can ride it on any roads that I want to. It's got a ton of power, good top speed. I've had my old 500 when I weighed less. I had that bike up to 115 miles an hour a couple times. Now that I'm over 200 pounds, I can't hardly get one over like 101. But a bike that can ride all the trails and everything and still hit triple digits is so versatile. So I love the 500. And summer before last, I got really into the adventure bikes. I thought I wanted a bike that would be a little bit more capable on the street, so I bought a KTM 790 Adventure, the 790R. And bought it used, financed it. Made me decide I never want to finance anything ever again. I just felt gross as soon as I financed that thing. But I rode it for a summer. It's funny, bad decision making. I was trying to save money on gas, so I financed a $12,000 motorcycle that didn't even get that good of gas mileage. And by the time I paid insurance on it and everything, I wasn't even close to saving money. I spent way more money on it. But that bike was good, but it wasn't that much better than my 500 that it was worth having. So I only kept it for a couple of months, and I ended up selling it for way less than I paid for it. But had a lot of good rides on it. That's what I was on when I saw the biggest black bear I've ever seen. That bike was a lot of fun. And then, since then, I had a Honda Grom for a little while. I've got 1 or 2 videos about that thing. I did pretty much what everyone else does when they buy a Grom. You buy it, and you think you're going to have a lot of fun on it, and then you find out it's just super underpowered, and the suspension sucks, and it's really cramped to ride. So I bought it, kept it for a little while, then I traded it for this F-150 that I have now, that I'm about to sell. And the only other bikes I've had besides that was a TTR 110. We got really into pit bikes for a while. That thing was a ton of fun, but no manual clutch. Kind of took some of the fun out of it, so I ended up selling that one and buying a KLX 110L. I loved that bike, rode it for a long time. We took that on a lot of rides. Really good on trails, really good for learning wheelies on. That bike was great. I ended up selling it because we just lost interest in them. We went on night rides on those things. We took them down in storm drains. Well, we took them on camping trips and rode trails at night on them. We added light bars to them. Had a lot of fun on that KLX. Rode it in the snow a lot. Oh, and the reason I got rid of my first 500 was I totaled it. I plan on telling that story sometime, but I wrecked it into a pond or a big puddle of water. Totaled it. Insurance gave me a good. Insurance paid me pretty good for it, and I bought my new one. Paid cash for it. And so now I have a 2020 500 KTM EXCF. It's my primary bike. Don't plan on ever getting rid of that one. I love it. I ride it all the time, and that is my dream bike. A lot of places around Northwest Arkansas to ride. Yeah, there's a lot. Mill Creek is great. That's where I go. I go around Mill Creek a lot. The whole area around Mill Creek is great. I love that whole national forest. Birds Adventure Center is pretty good. The Buckhorn OHV Trail System is pretty good. They're all within an hour of where I live. There's also some places in Missouri. I've been to. Their Disney Off-Road Park in Oklahoma is good. Rush Springs Ranch is okay. I went there once. It's all right. I've still never been to Buffalo Rider Wilderness Resort. That one, I hear a lot of people say that one's really good. There's a couple others around here that I've heard of but haven't been to. But yeah, I've been riding around the national forest around here for 7 or 8 years now, and I still am not tired of it. So yeah, there's a ton of places around here to ride for sure. So, Jimmy C. 8951 says, have you decided on a privacy hedge yet? I'm still 100% on bamboo. No, I haven't made any decisions at all. I just wanted to get that video out, get people to putting ideas into my brain so I can think about it, but I'm not doing anything for a long time. I'm going to be working on the house for a while before I do anything like that. Putting my time and money into this. And then that'll be like a side project, maybe next spring or something. For the most part, I think probably what I'm going to end up doing is just a fence, just a privacy fence at the bottom of the hill, right next to the storage facility. And then up on this upper wall, I'll probably do some type of like taller plants to block off the views over the fence, a little bit break up the picture at least. But that's what I'm thinking for now. And I don't know about bamboo. That doesn't really, you don't really see it around here. It would be really out of place. And I know it's I hear about it spreading and stuff. I think it would probably lower the property value if I planted some bamboo on the property. So it'd probably be some type of big bushy trees or something instead of bamboo. Prairie Fork says, where do you see yourself in 5 years or goals to achieve? Thanks. First of all, thank you for following along so closely and commenting all the time. I really appreciate it. Man, this question. I hear people get asked this question a lot, and I feel like it's a hard one to answer. Have you ever heard people say that most people overestimate how much they can accomplish in 1 year, but way underestimate how much they can accomplish in 10 years? That's what I immediately think about when I think about the where do you see yourself in 5 years, because it's right in the middle. So it's right in that range of, am I being too ambitious with my dreams, or am I limiting myself? Where do I see myself? I don't see myself in this house still. I don't think I'm going to be here in 5 years. That might age horribly. Hopefully I'm not here in 8 years and I've made no progress and everyone's clipping this and saying something. But if people are still remembering this at that point, the channel should be successful enough that I'm not still here. That's not saying that I'm going to get rid of this property within 5 years. I don't want to live here for a really long time. I'm be totally fine living here for 3 or 4 years. But at that point, I would like to progress and own some nicer property and potentially live a little bit closer into the hub of Northwest Arkansas. I'd like to have some property just outside of Springdale. I'd like to be rural, but not a really long drive from all my family and everybody in our business that's in Springdale. And I really would like to see this channel being very successful at that point. I would like to have I have a good following now, but I'd like to have a very good, strong following. Lots of people keeping up with what's going on and commenting, producing, and see the channel producing the revenue that it would take to make some quick progress on this stuff. Because I love doing this kind of stuff, and I would like to continue doing this kind of stuff, buying old properties and fixing them up and either selling them or just adding it to a real estate portfolio. There's no telling, but where I think I would like to go from here is develop this property, potentially build a new house on it, and then either sell it or keep it and buy a blank piece of property and totally develop it and build a house on it and potentially live there. Something with like 30 acres, 30 or 40 acres. Ideally, I would like to have it closer to being in town, but still outside of town. I want to live outside of city limits, and I don't have that here. I'm in city limits here. But I love the unrestricted lifestyle that you can live outside of city limits. And I'd like to have property that doesn't have to have a retaining wall every 10 feet to have a level spot. So I see our business being a lot more successful than it currently is already, our glass business. And I see myself in a much better financial situation, and I see myself owning some nicer real estate at that point, I guess is what I should say. And I see this house completed for sure. Everything that I want to do. Miss Elise A. Keep trying again says, "Did you finish the bathroom?" No, I have not started on it. Down to the last two. Grumpy Old Man 7948, one of my OG subscribers, says, "More about your construction background, dad's company, siblings, hunter, fisherman?" Okay, so let me make sure I don't miss anything here. My construction background starts when I was 13, and I came to work at the company, my dad's company, to help on a big project they had going on. They needed someone just cleaning material for them and organizing stuff to keep the guys busy, or keep the guys from having to work on that kind of stuff and stay focused on the stuff that they needed to be working on. So I spent the summer doing that and fell in love with the construction process. And then went back to school, wished I was working the whole time I was in school, just kept dreaming of work, went back the next summer, worked all summer again, got on some real job sites that time, went back to school again. At that point, I was able to start taking some VOTEC classes. I did EITE, can't remember what that stands for, but it was like the very introductory to construction class. We used some little tools, some little band saws and stuff, built like race cars and the little wood race cars. We did that in school, and started learning a little bit about power tools, a little bit about drills, a little bit about saws, and then after I got through that, I was through ninth grade, went back to school, or went back to work again for the next summer, worked on a bunch of job sites again, and then went back to school in high school, and I took construction fundamentals, which was a very good introduction to the construction background. That's where I got my NCCER safety certification for competent use, ladders, personal fall arrest systems, compound miter saws, circular saws, sawzall, drill usage. It was a class that covered all that kind of stuff. We took written tests. There's a lot of book knowledge and in the shop knowledge in that class. We built birdhouses in that class once we got all of our certifications, and I got my OSHA 10 safety certification in that class also. And then that class made me eligible to take structural building systems class for the next 2 years of high school. And that was a 2-hour long class, so it took up 2 class periods in the afternoon. And in that class, we built dog houses and sheds. That one was a lot more involved. We learned a lot about the structure of building systems, the name of the class, the foundation work, framing of houses. We learned all of the terminology of framing houses, took tests on that, and then we built dog houses the same way that you'd build a house. We did floor joists, sill plates with studs, and we had headers over the doors, and we built rafters just like a real roof. We did sheathing and then siding on top of it. We shingled the roofs. We did the whole process just like you would build a house. So that was a very good class. And like I said, we built a couple of sheds. We finished up that class built 2 little portable buildings, houses, unfinished on the inside, but they built the exterior. Obviously, that took several years to do. So by the time I was a senior, we completed those 2 houses. So my senior year, I worked on finishing those houses up. We did some electrical work in them, and a little bit of plumbing work, and for the most part it was a little bit of some framing stuff, cleaned them up, and so they sold those 2 houses. So I worked in those houses in high school, here and there. I took an electrical class also for a semester, learned a little bit about electrical work through that, and then I went to work full-time in 2017 when I graduated, and I've been in full-time work at the company ever since. I've worked my way up to being a commercial foreman, so I've been running jobs for the past couple of years on the job sites. I don't do anything in the office. Full-time for 7 years now, and then worked summers since 2004, and then been working summers since 2012. So that's pretty much my entire construction background. I haven't worked multiple trades or anything, but I learned a little bit about other types of trade work in high school, and then I've been around it a ton on jobs. We have to collaborate with other trades on jobs all the time, and I see the way everything goes together, and I'm very interested in it. So I'm researching about it, and I'm seeing it on my Instagram and TikTok and stuff all the time. Somewhat involved in all of that. My dad's company, he started it himself when they moved up here in '94, I think. Here from the east side of Arkansas, left Northwest Arkansas to start a business. He was part owner of a glass company over there. He ended up selling his portion, and used the between that and then fixing up a house and selling it and making money off of it. They used that money to move up here and start the company. And he was solo for a couple of years. He started off just doing shower doors and mirrors, simple stuff. Eventually got to the point where he had an employee. He did a lot of storefront work by himself. There's a couple of strip centers around here that he did totally solo back in the day. Big glass. It's really surprising he was able to do it alone. It slowly progressed, had employees and temps here and there. We got by, the company did, my whole life, but we never had, like, extra money the majority of the time growing up. It paid for the living expenses, but wasn't making anybody wealthy. It really started to take off in the 2014 to 16-ish area. That's when I remember us starting to finally have a little bit of breathing room at home, and we're making some pretty good money. Finally able to drive some nicer vehicles, and now it's doing great. We've got more work than we can keep up with. Our profit margins are really good. Staying really busy. Got quite a few employees now. The company's doing great now. Siblings, I got 4 siblings. I don't want to get into the details and put anyone's information out there, but I just have 4 siblings. I'm the second youngest. Hunter. I used to hunt a lot. That was like my main interest growing up. When I was a kid, I was very into hunting. But I kind of lost interest when I grew up a little bit and started focusing on other parts of life. Had rent. Once I started having rent and work and running jobs, and all that stuff started taking up a lot of my time, and I started focusing on progressing my life. I wanted to get somewhere and get ahead. And my hobbies kind of got pushed aside a little bit. And also, I'm just not good at hunting. I just don't have success. I'm not good at hunting or fishing. I love hunting and fishing, but I'm not good at either of them. I haven't killed a deer in almost 10 years now. It was either 2015 or 2016, I think, was the last time I killed a deer. I got a shot at a deer a couple of years ago and hit a doe and I didn't even injure her. It just went through her skin pretty much. I shot almost completely over her. I just barely touched the top of her back. Took a 55-yard shot. I've always bow hunted. I've never hunted with a gun, but took a 55-yard shot on a doe a couple of years ago in the dark, and it was getting really dark, and shot over her back basically. We didn't even have a blood trail to follow. I just had a little bit of hair on my arrow. That's the only way I knew that I partially hit her. But if you're gonna miss, that's the way to do it. Clean miss, not injure them. But yeah, I love hunting. I might get into it a little bit more now that I'm out here. I'm a little bit closer to some hunting area, and I got some property to practice on again. That was another thing, is I've been living in neighborhoods and apartments the past few years. I haven't really had a place to practice shooting my bow, but that field would be great. I'm thinking about putting an archery range up there, and I might start shooting my bow again. I may hunt this season and just see how I do, depending on how much time I have. And fishing, yeah, I got a friend. Me and him go kayak fishing all the time. We haven't been this year because I've been working on the house so much, but I'm planning on going here pretty soon. I'm not good at it at all. I'm actually a bad luck charm. No one catches any fish when I'm around. I don't know what the deal is, but I enjoy it a lot. I love fishing. I've always loved fishing. I used to fish a lot at my grandparents' house. My grandpa's got a pond up behind his house, and I used to fish in that thing every time we went up there. So yeah, I love it. Last one. Janice Foltz 400 says, "Can't wait to see that video. You have all of us curious. It's kind of like watching family. Being 64, I feel like I want to come cook you a hot meal or something. Take care, from Ohio." So not a question, but I'm still going to talk about it. I really appreciate that a lot. The good thing is I'm single and I take care of myself, but I do still have a really good relationship with my parents. So anytime I need a meal cooked or something, I can always go to my parents' house. My mom and my sisters still take care of me. So I do my own cooking all the time, but I still have that to fall back on here every once in a while. But I really appreciate that. It's a very kind comment, especially now that I've been working on the house and doing YouTube and stuff. I don't have as much time to cook. I used to, like last summer, I got really into it. I was meal prepping, cooking really nice meals all the time, and bringing stuff to work because I just kind of didn't have any. I just had a lot of extra time back then. But now that I have no time, I've been cooking a really simple meal. My dinner recently has just been. I haven't had time hardly to cook dinner most days. Cook a nice one. So the quickest and easiest thing I've found to make is just the shredded rotisserie chicken that you can buy from Walmart, already pre-shredded, pre-cooked. You just heat it up. I do about half a container of that with one of those little minute rice containers and 4 scrambled eggs. I mix all that together, put a bunch of cheese on, a bunch of peppers on it the same way as I put cheese and peppers on pretty much everything. So I got the pepper garden. I've been mixing habaneros and cayennes, and we got a couple of Tabascos blooming now. I'm going to try some Tabascos probably tonight. And mix all that in, make it really spicy. It's a good dinner. I don't get tired of it. I'm someone I have no problem eating the same thing every day for years. But that's everyone's questions. I enjoyed this video. It's nice having time to talk about that kind of stuff, and it's nice to see people interested enough to ask questions. Use the comments of this video as a place to ask questions again. So I'm not going to answer questions in the comments of this video because I'll heart it. You'll see me heart it, and that means that I'm planning on answering it in the next question and answer video. And like I said, we'll do another one here in 2 weeks, 2 to 4 weeks or something. Appreciate all the questions a lot. Leave your new questions in the comments. I appreciate everybody's support a lot, and thank you guys for watching.